Hello, everyone, and welcome to Univar Solutions webinar series on label-friendly solutions for your business. My name is Stephen Kalali, and I am a product manager in the food ingredients group at Univar Solutions. Thank you for joining us for today's session featuring Cargill's SimPure line of label-friendly starches. Today, we will examine the current state of the label-friendly ingredients market within the food and beverage industry, and we will explain how Univar Solutions can help your company thrive in this market via our partnership with Cargill and Cargill's SimPure line of label-friendly starches. Consumer interest in label-friendly options continues to grow, and by introducing a SimPure product to your formula, you can either begin selling within the label-friendly space or improve performance on products already positioned and selling as label-friendly. Because Univar Solutions is a company that is serious about safety, at Univar we start every meeting or presentation with a safety topic. Today's topic is food safety, and as we head into the summer months, here are some outdoor food safety reminders. First, the risk of food poisoning increases during summer months because harmful bacteria can grow more quickly in warm, moist conditions. So prevent foodborne illness during outdoor gatherings by keeping perishable foods cold, ideally below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Separate raw meat, poultry, and seafood from your other foods. Sanitize cooking equipment and utensils and work surfaces. Wash your hands before and after handling food. And keep foods at room temperature for no longer than 1 hour. And finally, cool foods quickly when you are going to storage. Okay, we will have time for questions at the end of our presentation, but one quick note about how to ask questions during the webinar as well. During today's sessions, you can submit questions via the chat box feature. The way you go about this is very simple. First, click on the question box as indicated in this diagram and type your question into the bottom box. Only the presenter will see the questions and the sender will be anonymous to all the other attendees. So you can submit questions at any time, but we will address them at the end of the presentation, and we will definitely get to all the questions that we are able to receive. Okay, now let me introduce everyone to today's speakers. As I mentioned, my name is Stephen Kalali. I am the product manager for Univar Solutions' relationship with Cargill. I have been with Univar Solutions since 2018 when I joined Univar's supply chain team in Chicago. I previously worked in supply chain for Kraft Heinz, and I am excited to be leading this webinar and introducing you all to some of the most recent developments in the label-friendly space. Nicole Dirk is joining us from Cargill today. As a technical sales support specialist at Cargill, Nicole is Univar's go-to resource on all things Cargill in regards to usage, applications, and expected behaviors of Cargill's products and our customers' recipes and processes. To say she is an expert on Cargill's offerings is an understatement. Nicole is a tremendous resource for the Univar team and our customers. And our final panelist today, we have another expert, Mark Ahern, who is Univar's technical and commercial manager for food based in the United Kingdom. Like Nicole, Mark has extensive experience in the food ingredients business and is an expert on the performance of products in different environments and settings. Towards the end of our presentation, Mark will walk us through some examples of how SimPure products can take the place of non-label friendly starches within your formulations. Our agenda today consists of a brief overview of what we mean when we say label friendly or clean label. Everyone listening to our presentation today is a consumer, and despite the many COVID restrictions and complications that everyone has experienced over the past year or so, I suspect many of you joining us today have shopped at a grocery store a few times in the past 12 months. And even if you haven't been to a grocery store, I'm sure you have seen an advertisement from a food company on TV or online. I think it is safe to say we are all generally aware of an increasing interest in the healthfulness of our foods. Companies are increasingly pivoting to label-friendly ingredients in response to this growing trend of healthfulness. Now, I also think most of us will agree the terms label-friendly or clean label are still relatively vague and open to interpretation. We will explore some data around label-friendly concepts, provide additional context about the current market, and discuss where we think the label-friendly space is heading next. And then we will focus in a bit more specifically on the label-friendly market for starches and introduce you to Cargill's SimPure product. SimPure is Cargill's answer to the growing need for high-performing, label-friendly ingredients. Cargill has developed a number of products within its Simpure lineup to fit many different processes, applications, and recipes. From bakery to dairy to prepared meals to sauces, we think there is a Cargill Simpure product available that will both enhance your production process and allow you to sell in the label-friendly space. We are excited to walk you through some examples of Simpure in action. We will detail some of the benefits you would see from switching your existing functional or native starch to Simpure instead, and discuss some of the risks and callouts to be aware of when using a label-friendly starch such as Simpure. At the end of our presentation, we will take a few questions if time allows. Let's get started. I want to start by asking you to take a moment and think about the term label friendly. And I specifically want to ask you, how do you define this term? I think we are all aware in the food space, clean does not have a universally agreed upon meaning. This is different from terms like organic, which represents an item that meets a very specific and regulated set of criteria. Prime beef is another example that represents a specific regulated process and end product. Label-friendly products do not have the same regulatory support or universally accepted definition. Different people have different opinions on which items qualify as label-friendly, which we often see reflected in survey data about clean label topics. However, despite label-friendly meaning different things to different people, there is clearly broad consensus around label-friendly items being healthy and good for us. A survey conducted by the research firm Mintel a few years ago asked participants to define what natural meant to them. As we know, natural is another undefined term in the food industry, but another term implying good for you. The results of that survey are revealing for two reasons. First, in the top responses to this definition question, consumers clearly identified the ideas of healthfulness and good for you. Now, in recent years, we have seen companies shift positioning from natural to label friendly, likely due in part to consumers' increasing recognition of the vagueness associated to natural. But the overall trend is that consumers are showing an increasing interest in products that are unambiguously healthy and good for you. Second, the top descriptions mentioned in this survey are free from definitions, free from preservatives, and free from artificial colors and chemicals. Just a few years ago, finding a processed food item that was unambiguously good for you could be very challenging for consumers, and in many ways it is still challenging today. When you are holding two different items at the grocery store, it is not always clear which item is more healthy and which is less healthy. Free from is a way to signal that healthfulness, and it has caught on with consumers. It is a bit easier to classify products lacking known unhealthy ingredients. The free from evolution has led to a number of opportunities in recent years for food companies to remove or replace disfavored ingredients with healthier and cleaner options. In North America, many initial reformulations of products have been completed, and companies are positioning items as cleaner/healthier than the versions of these products that we bought 5 or 10 years ago. For example, the removal of phosphates or preservatives was common in the initial phase of products transitioning to more label-friendly versions. Now, the next phase of development in the label-friendly space will be more challenging as companies continue to make their products more healthy, pure, real, and clean. Not only is there a lot of interest in healthier products, we also know consumer interest in label-friendly is growing year over year. According to a recent Nielsen survey, 70% of US households have purchased a food product that they perceive to be a label-friendly item. The next question is, what does the data show about the consumers driving these trends, and is the current interest in label-friendly sustainable? Eating healthy trends have histories of booms and busts, and they go through phases of popularity depending on a number of variables. For example, in the 1980s and 90s, scientific studies linking high-fat diets to heart disease led to the low-fat era of product innovation and growth for food companies. As scientific research on fat and its effect on our bodies and our health has progressed, our understanding of fat has evolved, and food companies have shifted their focus away from low-fat products to other areas. We also know certain diets can play a role in food development. The South Beach diet and the Atkins diet are both examples of eating trends that found traction and grew quickly and influenced product development in certain areas, but ultimately didn't revolutionize the food industry the way some may have projected initially. However, the data on label-friendly ingredients in eating suggests that it is likely consumers' recent focus on healthfulness will continue increasing. I don't think many of us expect to return to the days when artificial preservatives and colors were the standard. Healthy eating is unlikely to be a passing trend, and we think companies that are not actively incorporating label-friendly ingredients are at risk of falling behind. The idea of putting better ingredients into our bodies more frequently is a very simple one to understand. And a recent Mintel survey suggests that the staying power of label-friendly concepts is real and will continue to influence purchasing decisions well into the future. Mintel's December 2020 survey on food and drink nutrition found that 49% of consumers read nutritional panels, and 41% seek foods with fewer preservatives. A separate Mintel survey of bread shoppers in January of this year reinforced the growing demand for clean label products. Even though many bread products are considered to be label friendly already, the survey results show consumers' desire for clean label is a purchasing factor even in a product segment like bread that has already stripped out most of the preservatives and the additives. A more interesting fragment of this data was the segment of consumers declaring clean label to be an important factor when buying bread. The consumers searching for label-friendly options were 1, younger consumers, and 2, parents. Obviously, both of these segments of the purchasing population are either going to be purchasing for a very long period of time into the future or are passing down purchasing habits and preferences to the next generation of consumers who also have many years of purchasing decisions ahead of them. The data reinforces how common it has become to check the ingredient list and nutritional panel when grocery shopping. The friendliness of that label is impacting purchasing decisions right now. And this habit is driven by generations that will be buying food for the next 60 or 70 years. Regardless of what you are producing today, whether you are a dairy company or a bakery or a frozen food producer, there is a clear need to continue expanding your label-friendly offerings to stay competitive in the future. So consumers are showing an increased focus on label-friendly ingredients. Is the consumer interest reflected in what companies are now producing? Mintel's product launch data suggests that companies are absolutely reacting to the healthfulness trend because over the past 5 years, there is a clear increase in products positioned as clean label at launch. The number of products launched in 2020 with a clean label positioning to consumers was almost twice the number of label-friendly launches in 2017. Companies are de-emphasizing benefits such as convenience, and decreases in on-the-go products will no doubt be impacted by habit changes caused by the pandemic. Items that were once positioned as natural or ethical are now shifting more recently to label-friendly positioning. Another important aspect of the product launch data is we are seeing a shift in the grocery areas of label-friendly ingredients. Label-friendly launches were originally concentrated on snack-type products a few years ago. Snack foods probably were easy targets for the removal of artificial preservatives or ingredients. Now it is more widely spread positioning across lots of categories. We are seeing more and more label-friendly products launched in the bakery and the sauces and seasoning spaces, 2 areas where Univar Solutions already has extensive selling experience and success servicing our customers. Let's take a look at an example of one of these label-friendly product launches from a few years ago. This is a frozen prepared breakfast bowl, and every detail on the packaging appeals directly to the consumer's desire for simple, healthy, good-for-you ingredients. The actual name of the brand, Good Food Made Simple, speaks volumes. The company began selling breakfast food 10 years ago, right at the beginnings of the label-friendly wave, and it is now selling a wide variety of frozen options across the country. Thinking back just 10 or 15 years ago, for the most part, frozen foods had fallen out of favor, both for taste and health reasons. The reputation of frozen, in my mind, is from my experiences, is either my grandparents' old frozen TV dinners chock full of preservatives, lacking nutritional value, or frozen pizzas. I was not eating many frozen foods 10 years ago. But in some ways, the Great Recession jump-started an interest in frozen options right around the time consumers began expressing increasing interest in the healthfulness of our foods. Not surprisingly, the frozen section of the grocery store is experiencing real growth on label-friendly options. This entire brand is focused on the words good and simple, which show up 8 times on the back of the breakfast bowl. The product is label-friendly It's healthy and it's good for you, and it's very obvious in the marketing. And from simply reading the ingredients list to me essentially reads like a grocery list. This product was launched back in January 2016 and is still available today. Let's take a look at another example of a frozen product launched around the same time in the winter of 2016, where the positioning definitely tries to capitalize on the good for you and clean themes. But looking at the ingredient list, it is clearly constructed much differently than the prior breakfast bowl. The phrases real cheese and no artificial flavors are prominently placed on this box alongside the picture of the basic ingredients on the cutting board on the back. Very much in line with the clean label movement. It looks like something you could make at your home in your home kitchen. But when you get to the ingredients list and see the many items listed within, it becomes very clear this frozen product isn't very similar to the one on the prior slide, despite its healthfulness positioning. Are both these items label friendly? I think our definition of label friendly today would agree that the breakfast bowl qualifies, but I don't think many of us would believe this product should be considered label friendly. Now, where do starches fit into this equation? We've seen growing interest in the label friendly products. We've seen the interest is being driven by the youngest generation of consumers, and that the interest will be sustainable in the years to come. We've seen companies begin pivoting toward label friendly products more and more, and we've reviewed two examples of food companies positioning products as label friendly. How does Univar Solutions and Cargill fit into this label friendly revolution? The answer is via starches. Starches are a crucial ingredient in today's food industry, and starches will continue to play a huge role in future transitions to label friendly food products. Specifically, we think Cargill's SimPure line of label friendly starches will fill the roles that non-label friendly starches are today. Whatever space you are in today, whether it is bakery, dairy, sauces, or frozen, or any other, you are likely using a native starch in your process or a modified starch. As you know, natives and modified have very different benefits and limitations. Native starches boast higher initial viscosities and often offer good gelling and bulking properties. Most importantly for our discussion today, native starches are label friendly. You can list cornstarch on your label, and plain cornstarch is an instantly recognizable ingredient in most households. Potato or tapioca starches are similarly familiar items, clean ingredients in the eyes of most consumers. Univar Solutions already sells a large number of Cargill's native starches to our various customers. However, native starches have always been limited in commercial processes. With advances in technology, certain production processes have changed over time, and native starches do not hold up under the new ways of producing. The limitations of native starches led to the rise of modified starches. There are a number of ways a native starch can be modified to provide a better stability in a recipe or enhance certain characteristics of the starch to withstand today's production processes. There are clear process benefits to using modified starches in a recipe, but the obvious drawback is a modified starch is then identified as a modified starch on an ingredient list. Looking back at the breakfast bowl example, as soon as you put the word modified in front of cornstarch, we've lost the label friendliness in the eyes of the consumer. Fortunately, Cargill's research and development teams have been hard at work to find solutions to this problem. The future of starches is functional natives, and Cargill has a large variety of functional native options available via SimPure that match the performance of modified starches while remaining label friendly. Let me turn it over to Nicole Dirk for a proper introduction to SimPure.
Thank you, Stephen, for that great introduction on the value of SimPure starches in today's market. I will spend the next few minutes reviewing Cargill's growing portfolio of label-friendly starches. SimPure starches were developed to address consumers' desire for label-friendly products while offering greater process tolerance, shelf life, and storage stability. We have recently more than doubled our offering in the label-friendly starch space. We have been in the potato and corn market for a couple of years, but recently we have expanded our portfolio to include tapioca starch as well. Tapioca starch provides some unique functional characteristics and overall clean label appeal as it is an inherently non-GMO botanical source. Let's dive into the functionality you can get from the SimPure line. SimPure 99530 is a potato starch that provides high hot viscosity, low process tolerance, and excellent dispersibility, which makes it a great fit for dry mixes. Dry mixes would be things like a taco seasoning, where the consumer is adding water to the packet and heating it at the home stove. Simpure 99500 is a potato starch that provides a gel when cooled and low gelatinization temperature, which makes it highly suitable for meat and meat alternative applications. Simpure 99560 is a unique blend of potato and tapioca starch that offers our customers an alternative to corn-based starches for applications such as frozen meals, soups, sauces, egg products, and meat alternatives. The potato starch contributes to high viscosity, whereas the tapioca starch helps to add creaminess to the finished product. The 99400 series are corn-based starches. This line offers a wide range of process tolerance options to fit the needs of multiple categories, ranging from moderate process tolerance for things like frozen ready meals to very high process tolerance with our newest launch of 99408 to fit the needs of very harsh retort conditions such as canned pet food. All of these starches are non-gelling, so they will create a smooth and flowable texture in finished products. The new Simpure 99600 series of tapioca starches provides a tender gel for finished products that can be useful in the pet food space to provide structure for loaf-type canned products, in dairy and dairy alternatives to give body, and in meat and meat alternatives to provide structure and firmness. We have two options in this space to meet a range of processing needs. Our 99900 series of tapioca starches comes from a waxy botanical source, and this means it'll provide great cold storage stability for refrigerated or frozen applications. Its clean flavor profile and fat mimetic qualities make it a great fit in a wide range of applications. We have two options here as well to meet your various processing needs. Relevant application spaces for this line of products is gravy that would be used in pet foods, dairy and dairy alternatives, dairy fruit prep, meals, soups, and sauces that are refrigerated, frozen, or shelf stable. One of the key differences in the various products in the Simpure portfolio is their process tolerance. It is important to understand how they will be used. What temperature will they be cooked at, for how long and at what pH, and how much shear will that starch be exposed to? This understanding is imperative to selecting the best product for the application. Another element that must be considered is the desired final texture. If a creamy texture is desired, our Simpure 9900 series could be an excellent choice. If a firmer bite is needed, then Simpure 99500 or 99600 may be great options. Finally, it is important to understand how the product will be stored. Will it be refrigerated, frozen, or shelf stable? For shelf stable products, Simpure 99600 and 99400 series may be great solutions. For refrigerated products, Simpure 99900 is a brilliant choice. There are many other factors that can be taken into consideration when selecting a Simpure product, including cost, labeling claims, and botanical source preference. I work with the technical and sales teams at Univar to understand your goals and identify which product will best suit your needs and preferences. Please reach out to Univar Contact at any time, and we can help you with your next label-friendly starch project. Now I will pass it off to Mark to share how Simpure starch can be used in various applications. Mark?
Thank you, Nicole, for the great insight into the toolbox of label-friendly Simpure starches. It's clear to see that there is a Simpure product available to meet the challenges of manufacturers producing for different market sectors using a multitude of different hop production processes. So far in today's presentation, Stephen has outlined the marketing forces that are driving the food industry in this direction, whilst Nicole has shown us the products that are available to support in this transition. It is my pleasure to help join these two concepts together and translate what it means to you, our customers, and how these products and our combined know-how can help drive your business forward without compromising your brand. Looking at products in the supermarket and using tools like Mintel has provided a view of the current market situation and direction of travel within the food industry. I asked Stephen to go to the grocery store and pick out a typical frozen ready meal. His selection can be seen on this slide, a New Orleans style chicken Alfredo. This looks similar to many other products available today. The first thing that can be noticed is the actual length of the label declaration and the names that appear on it. As has already been discussed, today's conscious consumer is more aware of the label declaration and the ingredients within it. Anything that has a chemically sounding name or has an X, Y, or Z in its name is raised as a question mark in their mind. Looking at the label declaration, we can see modified starch. But what does modified starch mean? Is it genetically modified? This is a relatively recent advance in science which people are not fully aware of or understand. As we know, these are chemically modified for specific performance benefits such as an enhanced process tolerance, to overcome the challenges of today's modern production processes, and to provide the stability to ensure optimum performance and appearance of the final product throughout its shelf life. In addition, phosphate appears both in the chicken and the cheese components. Focusing on its use in the chicken, this is primarily used to help enhance moisture retention and texture in the meat during and after cook. The use of this helps maintain succulence as well as yield in the meat. Using the SimPure toolbox previously introduced, it would be possible to replace both modified starch and phosphate in the chicken breast seasoning, as well as the modified starch in the cream sauce. In the seasoned chicken strips, the use of starch to replace the phosphate can also influence the final texture of the chicken strip. For example, potato-based SimPure 99500 or tapioca-based SimPure 99600 can provide a firmer bite, whereas using the corn-based SimPure 99400 would lead to a softer, more succulent texture. In the cream sauce, where a flowable, smooth texture would be desirable, consideration of corn-based SimPure 99400 range or the SimPure 99900 range will provide the desired performance whilst remaining label friendly. It's difficult to specify the actual product to recommend at this time, as this will be dependent upon the manufacturing process you use, but I will talk more on this later. In addition to the performance of the starches, it should also be noted that as no chemicals are used in their manufacture, they do not have the same impact of flavour delivery in the final product. This impact can also be influenced depending upon the base starch used, whether it be tapioca, which is very bland, or maize starch. Looking in Mintel, it's evident that food manufacturers are aware of the growing pressure to develop products that recognise the increasing demand for label-friendly ingredients. Look at this signature meal kit, for example. It's evident that the producer has bought into this and is addressing the consumer's increasing demand for simpler label declarations and is seeking to use this to bring a premium, whether that be monetary or in market positioning. In the marketing, it is sought to bring a premium to the products by classifying the product as a signature dish, i.e., as the chef would make in a restaurant or at home, as well as referencing the USDA. All of this whilst maintaining the convenience angle by referencing its microwavability. Comparing this ingredients declaration to the previous, it's much shorter and many of the ingredients are those that a consumer readily recognises, and it also includes natural flavourings. However, this product still contains modified starch, whilst in the claims it states no additives or preservatives. The question I ask is if the consumer considers modified starch an additive. Would changing to a simple starch label declaration take this product to a different level in the consumer's opinion? SimPure products could be used in this product in the following ways. 1, to bring succulence and texture in the meatballs using the SimPure 99500 tapioca starch, potato starch, the 99600 tapioca starch, or the 99400 waxy maize starch, as in the previous slide. Selection dependent upon the final texture required. In the sauce, would a selection from either the SimPure 99400 corn-based or the SimPure 99900 tapioca-based label-friendly starches would be ideal. The final selection will be dependent upon both the production process and the final reconstitution method, whether that be microwave, oven cook, etc. One product that stood out when preparing this presentation is displayed on this slide, with the product positioning being heavily focused on premiumization and label-friendly messages. Looking at the ingredients list, it is short, with readily identifiable ingredients that consumers could find in the local grocery store. For this product, In the chicken, the products that would be suitable include Simpure 99500 potato-based starch, Simpure 99600, which is tapioca-based, or Simpure 99400, which is corn-based, and the final choice will be dependent on the texture required. And in the sauce, the Simpure 99400 maize or 99900 tapioca would be ideal. Again, this product references convenience, and the message is that although this product is label friendly, none of its convenience has been lost, nor has the eating quality been compromised. This product is sending a powerful message to the market, which I'm sure the producer will be able to capitalize upon. As has been demonstrated in the previous slides, there are products at different levels of ingredient content and positioning across the grocery store's shelves, refrigerators, and freezers. We must acknowledge that clean label is not for everyone for a multitude of reasons. However, for those producers who want to or already have started this journey, there are a number of conditions that have to be factored into their development process. Primarily, it must be remembered that Simpure starches are not chemically modified. Due to this reason, they are less forgiving than their chemically modified counterparts, with their window of opportunity and good cook reduced. This is not to say that they are not suitable for many of the processes used today, only that it is essential that your process dictates the starch, not the starch that dictates the process. Two key elements to consider when transitioning from modified starch and other similar ingredients to clean label are: know your formulation, the ingredient that you are looking to replace with Simpure. What is it contributing to the formulation? Is it viscosity, stability, texture, or mouthfeel? It should be noted that as a starting point, that changing modified starch to Simpure, a one-to-one replacement is recommended and should be amended based on the results that are achieved. However, when using some modified starches, for example, the Cargill Polartex range, the replacement using Simpure may be higher than the one-to-one ratio. This is due to the final viscosity achieved by the modified starch, which is a consequence of the chemical modification itself. The benefit of Simpure products not being chemically modified is that they tend to have a cleaner flavor profile, providing a cleaner flavor delivery, which could be beneficial in the final product. In addition, consideration of different base material, for example, tapioca starch rather than corn-based starch, could give a blander flavor profile, which would elevate the mouthfeel and creaminess in cream-based sauces and the flavor delivery of fruit-based fruit preparations and other similar products. It's also essential that you know your process. Processing is the key to success when using Simpure starches. As mentioned earlier, these starches are less forgiving than chemically modified starches. Therefore, to ensure desired performance, it is critical that they are optimally cooked. It's essential that the processing parameters are taken fully into account, and this includes understanding the maximum temperature that is achieved during cooking and the length of time held at this temperature. But not only the cooking process, but also the cooling profile. Is the product force cooled, such as using blast chillers, heat exchangers, or vacuum cooling, or is it allowed to cool ambiently? We also have to understand shear inputs and where they occur in the process, whether that be during or after the starch is cooked. Considerations also include the type of equipment used, whether they be steam-jacketed kettles, plate packs, tubular heaters, or UHT equipment. We then also have to factor in other shear sources such as agitators, whether they be low-impact propellers, medium-impact surface sweeping systems, or the high-impact Silverson high-speed mixers, or indeed homogenizers. We also then have to think about the shelf life and storage conditions, whether the product will be kept chilled, frozen, or stored ambiently, and what the shelf life of the final product is, whether it be 30 days, 1 year, or 2 years in the case of jars and cans. Once you have your process agreed, it is imperative that this is maintained with the minimum of deviation to ensure optimum performance every time. Therefore, in summary, Simpure starches are label friendly and provide the functionality of chemically modified starches whilst being label friendly. Within the Simpure range, there will be a solution to most manufacturers' need in the hot process applications. However, it is imperative that the starch chosen is optimally cooked. Therefore, as just highlighted, working closely with the Univar Solutions team is essential to achieving the desired outcome.
Thank you very much, Nicole and Mark, for your deep dive into the applications and benefits of Simpure. I certainly have learned a lot today about the label-friendly market, about how starches factor into that market, and also how Univar and Cargill can step in and help you in this area. As you can see, Cargill has a robust product lineup available to the label-friendly market. And without a doubt, we think one of these options can be used in your recipe. At this time, we will open it up for questions. We have already had a few questions come in, so let's read a few and see if we can offer some guidance. Now, as a reminder, you can submit questions via the chat box feature. First, click the question box as indicated in this diagram and write your question into the bottom box. Only the presenter will see the question, and again, the sender will remain anonymous to the other attendees. Okay, first question. Someone has asked, I am using a modified starch currently. Can I replace this on a one-to-one basis? And Mark, I think that's a good one for you to follow up on from a few slides ago.
Thanks, Stephen. It's a great question there. And I think it also depends on the modified starch that we're replacing, because as we know, there's different kinds of modification. So if you're using products similar to the Cargill Tex range, then I firmly believe that a one-to-one replacement will be possible. However, if you're using a product like the Polartex range, where the chemical modification gives you that thicker, heavier, creamier mouthfeel, then it may well be slightly more difficult to do it on a one-for-one basis. Ideally, you may well need about 10% extra to achieve the same final viscosity so that it matches up in the end. Other considerations may also be to look at different bases, particularly if you need a creamier or more flavoursome delivery, where instead of using a maize-based product, you could also look at a tapioca-based product. So it all comes back down to having a very clear objective and talking through your requirements with the team, and so that we can assess exactly what you need to move forward with.
Thank you, Mark. Another question in a similar vein here. What are the impacts and challenges of moving to Simpure? And Mark, I think it's worth mentioning too here, right? It's so important to understand your processes and to understand your options within Simpure, and always reach out to your Univar Solutions contact so that we can reach out to Cargill too as needed. But yeah, what are the impacts, some other impacts and challenges of moving to Simpure?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the key challenge is, as we mentioned before, because these are not chemically modified, their window of opportunity or optimum cook is reduced compared to the chemically modified. Chemically modified starches are quite forgiving. That's not the case with these label-friendly starches. So it's imperative that you understand your process in terms of its cooking process, how long you cook it for, what temperature, and how long you hold it for, and then also how it cools down, because starch typically starts cooking at 60 degrees C and finishes cooking at 60 degrees C. So you have to factor that into your thought process. Also about shear impact and where that will happen in the process. If it happens during the cooking process or after the cooking process, it will have a greater impact on the starch. Therefore, you just have to make certain that your process tolerance matches the input on the starches from your process. And then you also have to factor in other ingredients, particularly in low pH systems, because the acidity will also help to cook out the starch. So if you've got a high temperature, high acid system, and maybe even a high shear system as well, then you're going to need a really strong starch to survive that. But the key message that keeps reappearing in this is that to save time and save effort, before you start on your development process, reach out to the Univar and Cargill team, who will be able to help you talk through your process, position the right product, and hopefully get it right first time.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, there's a real technical aspect here, right? That's crucially important. I suppose that's kind of the case maybe all the times, but undoubtedly with the Simpure products. I think that leads nicely to the next question we received. How do I know which product to choose from this long list of options within the Simpure lineup? Nicole, maybe this would be a good one for you and to talk about some of what you do really every day, working with the Univar team and speaking directly to customers about what they are seeing in their processes and what options are available to them to improve.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. I mean, hopefully you've listened to this presentation and you're really excited about using Simpure starches in one of your next projects, or maybe you're thinking of an existing product and thinking, man, I really want to replace some of my modified starch with a Simpure starch. That's really exciting. But maybe you listened to this presentation and you thought, man, there's a lot of options. How do I pick? So that's what we're here to do, to help folks with. So what does that process kind of look like? Please reach out to your Univar contact, whoever that might be. We'll get on the phone with your Univar salesperson, your Univar technical person, and sometimes I join in those conversations as well. We'll have a discussion. We'll talk 15, 20 minutes about all the things Mark just hit on, like what temperatures are you cooking to? How is it being cooled? How much shear is being introduced? What other ingredients are in the formulation that it might impact the effectiveness of the Simpure? And so we have those conversations, and then we make a really solid recommendation on where to start and get some samples in your hands, and off you go. So that's kind of what that process looks like, and really that is, I would say, the best way to quickly narrow in on what product to use and move forward. I think I'll emphasize two more things. One is here at Cargill, we've done a lot of work and we have a pretty broad base of knowledge on how to use Simpure in various applications. We continue to grow that as time goes on, but we have a pretty strong understanding of how this product works. We're seeing a lot of requests in the alternative meat space, a lot of requests in the alternative dairy space. So very exciting to be able to work with customers and help them solve problems in those areas. I think the second thing I will hit on is, the best part of my day, the favorite part, the part I love most about my job is being able to work with customers and help solve their challenges. Helping them, figure out what the right Simpure is for their application and putting them on that path to success. That is what I look forward to most and every day. So please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out. The Univar team and myself are here to support you and help you be successful. And I look forward to working with everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Nicole. I mean, that's a great summary, and I will reiterate, please reach out to Univar first, and then we'll bring Nicole into this discussion very quickly, because there's tremendous benefits here, right, that we've seen in the presentation, but it's important for us to understand what you're doing, how you're using the products and your processes, and that's a very easy, simple discussion once we get the right folks involved. So please be proactive, and hopefully we've triggered a lot of interesting questions here. We've had one final question come in. I think this is a good, another important question. The question is as you're moving from a modified starch to a functional native, do you have non-GMO options within the Simpure lineup? And Nicole, maybe you can touch on that quickly.
Yeah, I can do that. So all of the Simpure options are available in a non-GMO option. I will add that the Simpure 99400, 99600, and 99900 series are all project verified. So hopefully that helps folks formulate into their new applications.
Awesome. Okay. That is all the questions that we have for now. If I might have had a few more come in. If we did not get to your question, I will definitely be reviewing, and we will undoubtedly get back to you quickly here in the next few days. So please feel free. Don't worry about if we didn't hit your question. But that'll wrap us up for today. I just want to thank again Mark and Nicole for being able to join us today, and really reiterate, if you're interested in a sample or half material questions about any of the items that we've talked about and highlighted today, please contact your local account manager or reach out to our customer service team by calling our 1-800 number or visiting our website. We are very, very excited to be partnering with Cargill here. And again, we think there's tremendous opportunities and are looking forward to helping you all. So thank you again for joining us today. And thanks finally to Mark and Nicole. We look forward to seeing everyone on our upcoming Clean Label webinar sessions. We have 2 others scheduled, and hope you all have great days, and we'll talk to you guys all soon.